from the Charlotte Observer and That'sRacing.com. Jim Utter joins us. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Hey, we're doing terrific. I kind of caught your article that you have up here on That'sRacing.com, and can Smith bring back the Old Bristol? The question, I guess, has to be asked, what does – maybe I don't know if you can answer this. What does Bruton think the Old Bristol is?
I'm not really sure. I didn't actually write that article, but I
I'm
found
sorry.
it very interesting.
You're right. Jenna Fryer wrote it. I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's quite all right. We run a lot of articles by different people. But I really found his concerns interesting because he talked about wanting to spend $1 million on improvement, but many people have said that if you're going to do anything to the concrete track, you're going to be spending a hell of a lot more money than $1 million. So I'm not really sure how serious the whole thing is about changing Bristol. Personally, I think the racing is a lot better than it used to be, unless you just like wrecks. And people want to point to the surface as being the reason for the low attendance, but yet the last fall's August race was nearly a sellout. So, it's the same track in March as it is in August. I just think it's more of an economic thing. People are making a choice these days, and they're choosing the night race over the day race.
I think that makes a whole lot of sense when you talk about people who may have gone to both races, but with the economy the way it is, have decided that they're only going to go to one. And if it were me and I was going to make a choice, I would go to the night race. There's no doubt in my mind that I would choose the night race over the day race.
Well, I think that makes a lot more sense for a lot of people, particularly if it's in the summer, it's at night, it's on Saturday, you have Sunday to go home. In the spring, I think most kids are still in school in mid-March. The race is a Sunday afternoon. If you travel from anywhere, you're likely going to miss a day of work and or school on Monday. I would think that they would do very well with two night races, but they would have to make the other night race not in March because, as history shows, more times than not, we tend to get a little blast of winter weather up there in March. But this year it was actually very nice.
Right. Well, yeah, you're talking to a couple of people who are sitting in Toledo, Ohio, in 85-degree weather in March. So it's like
the twilight zone.
That's not the norm, right?
No, that's not the norm. No. Let me put it this way. I don't think my lawnmower has ever seen March before, but it's going to see it this year. So it's a little different. Well, the other big gorilla in the room here today is the overturning of the suspension for Chad Knaus. Did that catch you by surprise at all that John Middlebrook would overturn the suspensions and the points penalties?
Yeah, I was very shocked because I really don't know what you're supposed to make out of this. He took away the points penalty and he took away the suspensions, but he still gave Chad Knaus a $100,000 fine and put the two of him and Ron Malik on a probation through May 9th. But if they didn't do anything wrong, I don't understand why they are on probation and why Chad is paying a $100,000 fine. So, to be quite honest, I'm sure the Hendrick people are ecstatic, particularly Jimmie Johnson, because he's now back to 11th in points. But I don't know what you read out of this decision. I don't know how you go forward and decide what you do is right or wrong. I mean, to me, what the decision says is if Chad Knaus went out and did the same thing all over again, he'd still get a $100,000 fine.
Mm-hmm. And he would be in limbo for 3 or 4 weeks deciding what was going to happen, I guess, which is really what this all just kind of turned about.
Yeah, really perplexing decision. I'm not sure it really gave much guidance to anybody, although it does keep Chad and Ron Malik at the track and restores Jimmie Johnson's points, which are probably the most important things to Hendrick Motorsports.
Well, the thing that surprised me a little bit is I was reading stuff from Jimmie Johnson, whether it was on Twitter or wherever it was over the weekend. He didn't seem concerned that Chad Knaus was going to go away. He was pretty well convinced that it was going to get overturned. Did he have just good vibes, or was it something that was being leaked a little bit that he felt that there was some, that it was going to be overturned?
No, I mean, I don't think he had any prior knowledge, but I will say they've all Hendrick people were pretty confident that they were not going to make any plans about someone other than Chad Knaus or Ron Malick working on that team, and they held fast to that theory all the way up to the very end, and I guess it paid off. But I agree with you. They were very confident that they weren't too worried about the fact that Chad would not be at the track.
We're talking to Jim Utter, who writes for the Charlotte Observer and that's racing.com. Hey, Jim, I want to roll this back about 10 days to Las Vegas, and I thought was kind of a bizarre deal when Dodge debuted their new Cup car and they don't have a Cup team for next year. Is there any talk about who may emerge as a Dodge team, or if anybody's going to?
Well, there's been a lot of talk, but a lot of it people need to remember. Since Penske Racing will be gone, you have to have a team that not only can field cars but can build Dodge engines because there's nobody out there who builds Dodge engines right now. And people say, well, Dodge could do like Toyota and build their own, but that would involve pouring even more money into NASCAR, even more money than they are right now, because they would have to have their own people building these engines. The only team that I have heard floated that even comes close to being plausible, in my opinion, is Earnhardt Ganassi Racing. Because I understand that even though they use Earnhardt Childress engines, their original engine shop is still fully intact at their shop, and all they would need to do would be to hire people. But I would have to say that if that happened, and that's a big if that happened, it would probably mean the end of the Earnhardt alliance with Ganassi, because obviously the Earnhardt name is tied to Chevy, and they would still be part of the Earnhardt Childress Racing Engines program. So a lot of ifs, but to be honest, that's not the only team who I hear that is anywhere near plausible.
Well, Jim, thanks so much. We appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. And next time we have you on the show, I won't book you behind Dave Despain. I promise that, because
that's all right. You certainly got full of news today. You had a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of works out that way sometimes. A lot of people ask us, why do you do your shows on Tuesdays? And a lot of times it just seems to work out that that we get all the good stuff. But thanks so much. We'll talk to you again in a few weeks or so.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks
Jim. Jim Utter.